First Contact and Galactic Politics. The day Earth made first contact with an alien civilization was etched into humanity's collective memory forever. It wasn't the melodramatic invasion that countless science fiction stories had imagined, nor was it the benevolent arrival of wise space brothers. Instead, it came in the form of a garbled radio transmission, picked up by the aging Arecibo radio telescope in Puerto Rico. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the lead SETI researcher at Arecibo, had been about to end her shift when the computers flagged an anomaly. At first, she dismissed it as another false positive. After all, they'd had plenty of those over the years. But as she examined the data more closely, her heart began to race. The signal was structured, repeating, and unmistakably artificial. "Holy shit," she whispered, her coffee mug slipping from her fingers and shattering on the floor. "We're not alone." Within hours, the news had spread across the globe. Governments scrambled to respond, religious leaders offered conflicting interpretations, and the average person on the street alternated between excitement and terror. But it was only the beginning. 3 months later, a sleek, silvery ship appeared in orbit around Earth. Its occupants introduced themselves as the Gallery, a peaceful race of explorers who had been observing humanity for decades. They came with an invitation. Earth was being offered a place in the Galactic Council, a confederation of spacefaring civilizations that govern most of the Milky Way. Captain Jack Harper, a decorated veteran of the U.S. Space Force, was chosen to lead the first human delegation to the Galactic Council. As he stood before the assembled alien representatives, he couldn't help but feel a mix of awe and trepidation. The council chamber was a vast, circular room, its ceiling a perfect holographic representation of the galaxy itself. Hundreds of alien species were in attendance, each more bizarre and wonderful than the last. There were creatures that looked like sentient crystals, others that seemed to be made of pure energy, and still others that defied easy description. The tall, willowy being with iridescent skin stepped forward. "I am Xylax, High Counselor of the Gallery and current Chair of the Galactic Council," it said, its voice resonating in Jack's mind rather than his ears. "We welcome the representatives of Earth to our assembly." Jack cleared his throat, acutely aware that he was speaking not just for himself, but for all of humanity. "On behalf of the people of Earth, we are honored to be here. We come in peace and friendship, eager to learn from and contribute to this grand coalition of civilizations." A murmur rippled through the chamber, not all of it friendly. Jack noticed several delegates exchanging what he could only interpret as skeptical glances. Xylax raised a hand for silence. "While we appreciate your sentiments, Captain Harper, you must understand that admitting a new species to the Council is not a simple matter. Humanity is young, by our standards. Many here have concerns about your readiness." A bulbous creature with multiple eye stalks floated forward. "The humans have barely mastered interplanetary travel," it burbled. "Their history is rife with conflict and environmental destruction. How can we trust them with the advanced technologies and responsibilities that come with Council membership?" Jack felt his face flush with a mix of anger and embarrassment. He had expected some resistance, but the outright dismissal stung. "With all due respect," he said, struggling to keep his voice level, "humanity has made tremendous strides in recent years. We've overcome many of our past divisions and have committed ourselves to peaceful exploration of space. We may be young, but we're eager to learn and contribute." Another delegate, a being that looked like a sentient cloud of gas, spoke up. "Perhaps the human has a point. Many of us faced similar challenges in our own histories. Is it not the purpose of this council to guide and nurture developing civilizations?" The debate raged for hours, with various factions arguing for and against Earth's admission. Jack and his team did their best to address concerns and showcase humanity's potential, but it was clear that they faced an uphill battle. Finally, Xylax called for a vote. "Those in favor of granting Earth probationary membership in the Galactic Council, please signify." Jack held his breath as the chamber lit up with points of light, each representing a vote. When the final tally was displayed, he let out a sigh of relief. It was close, but Earth had been accepted. "Congratulations, Captain Harper," Zylax said. "Earth is now a probationary member of the Galactic Council. However, this status comes with certain restrictions. You will have limited access to our technology and resources until you prove yourselves worthy of full membership." As the human delegation left the chamber, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that they had only won a small battle in what would be a long war for acceptance. The skepticism and outright hostility from some council members had been eye-opening. Over the next few years, humanity worked tirelessly to prove its worth to the galactic community. Earth scientists collaborated with alien researchers, making breakthroughs in fields ranging from medicine to quantum physics. Human diplomats worked to build alliances and improve interspecies understanding. But despite these efforts, Earth continued to face prejudice and suspicion from many corners of the galaxy. Some races viewed humans as dangerously unpredictable, while others saw them as naive children stumbling into a complex political landscape they couldn't possibly understand. The situation came to a head when a border dispute erupted between two council races, the militant Vreknar and the peaceful Lumi. The Vreknar, a reptilian species known for their aggressive expansion, had laid claim to a resource-rich system that the Lumi had been cultivating for generations. During an emergency council session, Jack, now serving as Earth's permanent representative, proposed a solution. "What if we were to act as neutral mediators?" he suggested. "We have experience in conflict resolution, and as newcomers to the galactic stage, we have no vested interest in the outcome beyond maintaining peace." The proposal was met with mixed reactions. Some council members saw it as an opportunity to test humanity's diplomatic skills, while others scoffed at the idea of primitive humans mediating an interstellar dispute. In the end, desperation won out. With the conflict threatening to escalate into open warfare, the council reluctantly agreed to let the humans try their hand at mediation. Jack assembled a team of Earth's best diplomats, including Dr. Amelia Chen, a renowned expert in conflict resolution. Together, they spent weeks shuttling between the Vreknar and Lumi delegations, listening to grievances, proposing compromises, and slowly building trust. It was Dr. Chen who finally broke the deadlock. She proposed a novel resource-sharing agreement that would allow both races to benefit from the disputed system while preserving the Lumi's existing colonies. The solution was elegant in its simplicity, drawing on Earth's own history of resolving similar conflicts. When the agreement was finally signed, the council chamber erupted in applause. Even some of humanity's harshest critics grudgingly admitted that the humans had succeeded where others had failed. As Jack and his team prepared to return to Earth, Zylax approached them. "You have done well," the High Counselor said. "Perhaps we underestimated humanity's potential. Your unique perspective and problem-solving abilities could be valuable assets to the Council." Jack smiled, feeling a sense of pride not just in himself, but in all of humanity. They had taken their first real step towards proving themselves on the galactic stage. But as he looked around the council chamber, he couldn't shake the feeling that greater challenges, and perhaps greater opportunities, lay ahead. Little did he know that humanity's greatest test, and the true reason for their eventual ban from galactic warfare, was looming on the horizon. The Zarkan were coming, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Zarkan threat emerges. The relative peace that followed Earth's successful mediation of the Vreknar-Lumi dispute was short-lived. Just as humanity was beginning to find its footing in the complex dance of galactic politics, a new threat emerged from the depths of unexplored space. The first signs were subtle. Long-range sensors detecting anomalous energy signatures, scattered reports of missing ships along the fringes of Council space. But as the weeks passed, a chilling pattern began to emerge. Something was coming, something that made even the most battle-hardened races of the Galactic Council nervous. They called themselves the Zarkan, and they came not to negotiate, but to conquer. Captain Elena Santos of the Earth ship ESS Horizon was on a routine patrol near the Orion Arm when she received the distress call. A Galactic science vessel was under attack by an unknown force. Without hesitation, Alina ordered her crew to maximum warp. As the horizon dropped out of warp, the scene that greeted them was one of chaos and destruction. The Galactic ship was adrift, its sleek hull marred by weapons fire. But it was the attacker that drew Alina's attention. The ship was massive, easily dwarfing the horizon, its surface covered in what looked like organic growths mixed with technology. "What the hell is that?" Alina muttered, her eyes wide with a mix of awe and fear. Before she could issue orders, the alien vessel turned its attention to the horizon. A sickly green beam lanced out, narrowly missing the human ship. "Evasive maneuvers," Alina shouted. "Tactical, return fire." The horizon danced through space, its human crew reacting with a speed and unpredictability that seemed to momentarily confuse the alien attacker. Photon torpedoes and phaser fire struck the massive ship, but seemed to do little damage. Just as it seemed the horizon would be overwhelmed, a fleet of Galactic warships arrived, their advanced weapons finally driving off the attacker. As the alien ship retreated, Alina couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. She was right. Within days, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The Zarkan, as they came to be known, were attacking on multiple fronts, their biomechanical ships proving resistant to most conventional weapons. The Galactic Council was facing its greatest threat in millennia. An emergency session was called, and Jack Harper found himself once again standing before the assembled representatives of 100 worlds. But this time, the atmosphere was different. Gone was the usual political posturing and subtle maneuvering. In its place was a palpable sense of fear. High Counselor Zilax's usually melodious voice was strained as it addressed the gathering. "The Zarkan threat is unlike anything we have faced before. Their technology is advanced, their numbers vast, and their intentions clear. They seek not merely conquest, but the complete subjugation or destruction of all other sentient life." A holographic display in the center of the chamber showed the extent of the Zarkan invasion. Dozens of systems had already fallen, with more under imminent threat. "Our standard tactics have proven ineffective," Zilax continued. "We must find new ways to combat this menace, or all will be lost." Jack stepped forward, his mind racing. He had spent the last few days poring over every scrap of intelligence on the Zarkan, and an idea had been forming. It was risky, potentially controversial, but it might just work. "Members of the Council," he began, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "Earth may be new to interstellar conflict, but we have a long and regrettably rich history of warfare. While we've worked hard to move beyond our violent past, that experience might now prove valuable." A murmur ran through the chamber. Jack pressed on. "Our military strategists have been analyzing the Zarkan attack patterns. We believe we've identified weaknesses in their approach, gaps in their strategy that could be exploited. Moreover, we have experience in asymmetric warfare, in facing technologically superior foes and finding ways to prevail." The Vrekinar representative, General Kraz, leaned forward, his scaled face unreadable. "You propose that we allow humans to take a more active role in the war effort, to lead military operations against the Zarkan." Jack nodded. "That's exactly what I'm proposing. Give us the chance to prove ourselves. Let us fight alongside you, share our strategies, and together we can push back this invasion." The chamber erupted in a cacophony of voices. Some council members seemed intrigued by the idea, while others were vehemently opposed. "Preposterous," shouted the representative of the Yulan Confederacy, a race known for their logical, almost machine-like thinking. "The humans are untested in galactic warfare. Their primitive tactics could do more harm than good." "But that very primitiveness might be an asset," countered a Lumi elder, her bioluminescent skin pulsing thoughtfully. "The Zarkan have shown themselves adept at countering our standard strategies. Perhaps a new approach, however unorthodox, is exactly what we need." The debate raged for hours. Jack and his team presented detailed plans, showcasing human military history and proposing adaptations of Earth strategies to space warfare. They argued passionately for the value of human unpredictability and ingenuity in the face of a seemingly unstoppable foe. But in the end, fear and prejudice won out. The final vote was narrow, but clear. Humanity's offer of military assistance was rejected. While we appreciate Earth's willingness to contribute, Xilax announced, its voice heavy with what might have been regret, the Council has decided that the risks outweigh the potential benefits. Humanity will continue to provide non-military support, but direct involvement in combat operations is forbidden. Jack left the council chamber, his fists clenched in frustration. As he made his way back to the Earth Embassy, he was stopped by General Kraz of the Vreknar. That was an interesting proposal, human, the reptilian warrior rumbled. For what it's worth, I believe you may have had the right idea. The Zarkan are unlike any foe we have faced. New tactics, even ones as primitive as yours, might have been useful. Jack managed a wry smile. Thank you, General. I just hope the Council's decision doesn't doom us all. As he continued on his way, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that humanity had just lost a crucial opportunity. The Galactic Council was facing an existential threat, and they were too set in their ways to see the value in a fresh perspective. But Jack Harper was not one to give up easily. If the Council wouldn't officially sanction human military involvement, perhaps there were other ways to contribute. As he entered his office, he began composing a message to Earth's military leadership. It was time for Plan B. Unbeknownst to the Galactic Council, humanity was about to take matters into its own hands, and the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity's secret intervention. The mood on Earth was somber as news of the Galactic Council's decision spread. Humanity had offered its hand in friendship and alliance, only to be rebuffed when it mattered most. But for a select group of individuals, the Council's rejection wasn't the end. It was a call to action. In a secure underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, a group of Earth's most decorated military veterans gathered. They represented every branch of service and every major nation. Among them was Admiral Sarah Chen, former commander of Earth's first interstellar fleet, and Colonel Dmitry Volkov, a tactical genius known for his unconventional strategies. At the head of the table sat Jack Harper, his face grim but determined. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "you've all been briefed on the situation. The Zarkan threat is real, and it's growing. The Galactic Council may have rejected our official help, but that doesn't mean we can't act." Admiral Chen leaned forward, her eyes sharp. "What exactly are you proposing, Jack? We can't directly disobey the Council's orders without risking Earth's standing in the galactic community." Jack nodded, acknowledging the risk. "You're right, Sarah. That's why what I'm about to propose is completely off the books. Plausible deniability at every level. We're going to form a covert task force, the best of the best, to assist in the war effort without the Council's knowledge or sanction." A murmur ran through the room. What Jack was suggesting was dangerous, potentially treasonous. But as they looked at the holographic displays showing the steady advance of the Zarkan forces, each person in the room knew it was necessary. Colonel Volkov spoke up, his Russian accent thick with emotion. "How do you propose we do this? We have no ships, no official sanction, no way to explain our presence if we're discovered." Jack smiled, a hint of his old confidence returning. "That's where things get interesting. Thanks to some, let's call them sympathetic allies within the Council races, we've secured a small fleet of unmarked ships. They're older models, but we can modify them with some of our own tech. As for our cover story, we'll pose as mercenaries from a non-aligned world." The room erupted in discussion as the implications sank in. It was audacious, borderline insane, but it just might work. Over the next few weeks, Operation Phantom, as it came to be known, took shape. A force of 500 of Earth's finest soldiers, pilots, and tacticians was assembled. They trained relentlessly, adapting Earth combat techniques to the realities of space warfare. Engineers worked around the clock to upgrade their small fleet of ships with hybrid human-alien technology. Finally, the day of departure arrived. As the task force prepared to ship out, Jack addressed them one last time. What you're about to do flies in the face of galactic law and Earth's agreements with the Council. If you're caught, Earth will disavow all knowledge of your actions. But know this, you carry with you the hopes of not just humanity, but every race threatened by the Zarkan. Good luck, and Godspeed. The fleet slipped away from Earth under cover of darkness, using stealth technology to avoid detection. Their first destination, a small mining colony on the edge of Reknar space that was under imminent threat of Zarkan attack. As they dropped out of warp near the colony, the scene that greeted them was grim. A massive Zarkan warship loomed over the planet, its weapons already beginning to target the meager defenses. Admiral Chen, commanding the lead ship of the human fleet, didn't hesitate. All ships, battle formation Delta. Fighters, launch and engage. Let's show these bastards what humanity can do. The ensuing battle was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. The human ships darted and weaved with an unpredictability that seemed to confuse the Zarkan targeting systems. Earth fighters swarmed the larger alien vessel, exploiting weaknesses that the Council races hadn't even noticed. Colonel Volkov, leading the ground assault team, employed guerrilla tactics that kept the Zarkan ground forces off balance. They struck from unexpected angles, used the terrain to their advantage, and employed adaptive strategies that the aliens struggled to counter. After hours of intense fighting, the Zarkan were forced to retreat. The mining colony was saved, its inhabitants staring in awe at their mysterious saviors. As the human fleet regrouped, Admiral Chen allowed herself a small smile. First engagement successful, but this is just the beginning. Over the next few months, the human task force struck again and again. They never stayed in one place long enough to be identified, always appearing where the Zarkan least expected. Slowly but surely, they began to turn the tide of key battles. Word of the mysterious mercenaries spread through the galaxy. Some called them saviors, others dismissed them as myths. The Galactic Council was baffled by the sudden shift in the war's momentum, but too desperate to question it too closely. But as humanity's influence on the war grew, so did the risks. During a particularly fierce battle in the Cygnus sector, a human ship was severely damaged, forcing an emergency landing on a nearby moon. Before they could enact their evacuation protocols, a Gauri patrol stumbled upon the crash site. Captain Miguel Ramirez, the ship's wounded commander, found himself face to face with a shocked Gauri officer. In that moment, he knew their secret was on the verge of being exposed. "You're human," the Gauri officer stammered. "But how? Why are you here?" Ramirez straightened up, wincing at the pain from his injuries. "We're here because it's the right thing to do. Because someone has to stand against the Zarkan. Will you turn us in?" The Gauri officer hesitated, clearly torn between duty and gratitude. After a long moment, he lowered his weapon. "My cousin was on the mining colony you saved in the Vreknar sector. I owe you a debt. I saw nothing here." As the Gauri helped evacuate the human crew, Ramirez knew they were living on borrowed time. Sooner or later, the truth would come out. But until then, they would continue to fight, continue to make a difference. Back on the command ship, Admiral Chen received Ramirez's report with a grim expression. "We always knew this could happen," she said to Jack Harper over a secure comlink. "What's our next move?" Jack's holographic image flickered as he considered their options. "We keep going," he said finally. "We've come too far to stop now. But we need to be prepared for the fallout when the Council finally discovers the truth." As they spoke, reports came in of a massive Zarkan fleet massing for an assault on a key Council world. It would be the largest battle of the war so far, and possibly the turning point. Admiral Chen's expression hardened with resolve. "Looks like we're about to face our greatest challenge yet. All ships, prepare for warp. We have a galaxy to save. As the human fleet jumped to warp, the stage was set for a confrontation that would determine not just the fate of the war, but humanity's place in the galactic community. The truth was about to come to light, and the consequences would reshape the cosmos. The truth unveiled. The Zarkin assault on Nebula Prime, a crucial hub world of the Galactic Council, was unlike anything seen before in the war. Thousands of biomechanical ships darkened the skies, their weapons capable of shattering continents. The combined fleets of a dozen council races fought desperately to hold the line, but it was clear they were outmatched. As the battle raged, Admiral Sarah Chen's human task force arrived on the outskirts of the system. From her command chair, she surveyed the tactical displays with a grim expression. "It's worse than we thought," she muttered. "All ships, prepare for emergency warp. We're going in hot." Colonel Volkov's voice crackled over the comm. "Admiral, if we engage here, there's no hiding who we are. This is it." Chen nodded, even though Volkov couldn't see her. "I know, Dmitri. But if we don't act now, there won't be a galaxy left to hide in. All hands, battle stations. Today, we save Nebula Prime or die trying." The human fleet burst into the heart of the battle, their unorthodox tactics immediately throwing the Zarkin into disarray. Earth fighters weaved through the chaos, striking at weak points in the alien formation that the Council forces hadn't even identified. On the planet's surface, drop ships deployed human ground forces led by Colonel Volkov. They moved with a speed and adaptability that bewildered both ally and enemy alike, using terrain and improvised weapons in ways that defied conventional military doctrine. For hours, the battle hung in the balance. But slowly, inevitably, the tide began to turn. The Zarkin, for the first time since their invasion began, were being pushed back. As the last Zarkin dreadnought fell to a combined assault of human and council ships, a stunned silence fell over the battlefield. The council forces, finally having a moment to catch their breath, turned their attention to their mysterious saviors. Admiral Chen knew the moment of truth had arrived. Opening a channel to the council flagship, she took a deep breath. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of Earth. We apologize for our deception, but we could not stand idly by while the galaxy burned. We are here to help, if you'll have us." The silence that followed was deafening. Then, slowly, ships from every council race began to move into formation around the human fleet. Not in hostility, but in solidarity. The voice of High Counselor Zilax filled the comm channels. "Admiral Chen, your actions today have saved countless lives, but they have also violated our most sacred laws. Report to the council chambers immediately. We have much to discuss." As Chen's shuttle docked with the council station, she was met by a mixed reception. Some aliens cheered the humans as saviors, while others glared with undisguised hostility. The emergency session of the Galactic Council that followed was one for the history books. Jack Harper stood beside Admiral Chen as they faced the assembled representatives of 100 worlds. The chamber was in an uproar, with accusations and arguments flying from all sides. Zilax raised a hand for silence. "Order. We are here to address the actions of the humans and their impact on the war effort." "Admiral Chen, explain yourself." Chen stepped forward, her voice steady. "Honored Council, we acted out of necessity. When our offer of aid was rejected, we knew we couldn't stand by and watch as the Zarkin destroyed everything in their path. Yes, we violated your laws, but in doing so, we've turned the tide of this war. The Zarkin are on the defensive for the first time." The Yulan representative, his metallic features impassive, spoke up. "Your tactics are effective, we cannot deny this. But they are also unpredictable, potentially dangerous. How can we trust a species that so willingly disregards galactic law? Because sometimes laws must be broken to do what's right." Jack interjected. "We're not asking for praise or rewards. We're asking for the chance to fight alongside you, openly and honestly, to end this threat once and for all." The debate raged for hours. The council was divided, with some praising the humans' initiative and others calling for severe punishment. But as reports continued to come in of Zarkan forces in retreat across multiple sectors, a grudging consensus began to form. Finally, Zilax called for a vote. The motion before us is this: to formally sanction human military involvement in the war against the Zarkan, with the understanding that their methods and technology will be closely monitored. The chamber held its breath as the votes were tallied. In the end, the motion passed, but only by the narrowest of margins. Zilax turned to Chen and Harper. You have your chance, humans. Do not make us regret this decision. As news of the Council's decision spread, the war entered a new phase. Human tacticians worked alongside alien strategists, combining their strengths in ways neither had imagined possible. Earth opened its military academies to soldiers from across the galaxy, teaching them the art of adaptive warfare. But not everyone was pleased with this turn of events. In the shadows, a group of hardline council members began to meet in secret. They saw humanity's influence as a threat, not just to the established order, but to the very fabric of galactic society. These humans are dangerous, hissed Cathal, a Vrock diplomat known for his conservative views. Today they break our laws to fight our enemies. Tomorrow, who knows? We must find a way to contain them, to ensure they never threaten our way of life. As the conspiracy grew, so did humanity's successes against the Zarkan. With each victory, Earth's standing in the galactic community rose. But with that rise came increasing scrutiny and fear. The stage was set for a final confrontation, not just with the Zarkan, but with the very allies humans had fought so hard to win over. The true test of humanity's place in the stars was yet to come, and the outcome would determine the fate of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. Aftermath and exile. The combined forces of humanity and the Galactic Council pushed the Zarkan back to the fringes of known space. It was a grueling campaign, filled with hard-fought victories and heartbreaking losses. But after 3 years of relentless combat, the seemingly unstoppable Zarkan invasion was finally halted. On a distant world that had once been a Zarkan stronghold, Admiral Sarah Chen stood alongside alien allies as the last of the invaders' ships flowed into the unknown. The war was over, but the real battle for humanity's future was about to begin. Back on Earth, parades and celebrations filled the streets of every major city. Humans had proven themselves on the galactic stage, their innovative tactics and indomitable spirit turning the tide of a war that had seemed unwinnable. But in the halls of power, both on Earth and across the stars, a storm was brewing. Jack Harper paced nervously outside the main chamber of the Galactic Council. The emergency session called to address the human question had been going on for hours. Finally, the doors opened, and he was summoned inside. The atmosphere in the chamber was tense. Counselors from 100 worlds regarded him with a mix of awe, fear, and barely concealed hostility. High Counselor Zilax's voice cut through the silence. Representative Harper, we have reached a decision regarding humanity's future role in galactic affairs. But first, we would hear from you. Why should we continue to trust humans with the power and responsibility that comes with full council membership? Jack took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his entire species on his shoulders. Honored counselors, I stand before you not to make excuses, but to offer perspective. Yes, humanity broke your laws. Yes, we acted without sanction. But in doing so, we saved countless lives and helped turn the tide of a war that threatened all of us. He paused, looking around the room. Our history is filled with conflict, it's true. But it's also filled with triumph over adversity, with leaps of innovation born from desperation. We don't just think outside the box. We forget the box exists. And isn't that exactly what the galaxy needed to defeat the Zarkan? A murmur ran through the chamber. Jack pressed on. We've proven our worth as allies. We're willing to learn, to adapt, to become part of this grand tapestry of civilizations. All we ask is the chance to stand alongside you as equals. The Yulan representative stood, his metallic features gleaming under the chamber's lights. Your words are impressive, human, but they do not change facts. Your species has demonstrated a disturbing capacity for violence, a willingness to disregard established norms, and an unpredictability that makes you dangerous allies at best, potential conquerors at worst. Is that not what makes them valuable? Countered Olumi Elder. The Zarkan nearly defeated us because we were predictable, set in our ways. The humans' lateral thinking saved us all. The debate raged on, with impassioned arguments from both sides. Jack watched, his heart sinking as he realized the depth of fear and mistrust that humanity's actions had sown. Finally, Zelax raised a hand for silence. We have deliberated long and hard on this matter. Our decision is as follows. In recognition of their service in the Zarkan War, humans will retain their probationary status in the Galactic Council. However, the High Counselor's eyes met Jack's, filled with a mixture of regret and resolve. Humanity is hereby banned from all future involvement in galactic warfare. Your military forces will be restricted to your home system. Any violation of this ban will result in immediate expulsion from the Council and potential quarantine of the Sol system. The chamber erupted in chaos. Jack stood stunned, the implications of the ruling washing over him. But why? He managed to ask when the noise died down. Zilax's voice was heavy. Because you are too good at war, Representative Harper. Your species took tactics and technologies from across the galaxy, and in mere years surpassed what other races took millennia to develop. The Zarkan were a known quantity, a threat we could understand. But humanity, you are an unknown. Your potential for both creation and destruction is unlike anything we have ever seen. The Vrak diplomat, Kithel, stepped forward. Let us be clear, human. We are grateful for your aid against the Zarkan, but we fear that the next threat to galactic peace may come not from outside our borders, but from Earth itself. This ban is as much for your protection as ours. As Jack left the council chamber, his mind raced with the implications of the ruling. Humanity had saved the galaxy, only to find itself feared and constrained by the very allies they had fought to protect. In the years that followed, Earth found itself in a unique position. Barred from military action beyond its borders, humanity turned its innovative spirit to other pursuits. They became the galaxy's premier diplomats, scientists, and artists. Human universities became centers of learning for species from across the cosmos, all eager to understand the race that had changed the face of galactic warfare. But the ban remained a point of contention. Some humans felt betrayed, arguing that they had earned the right to stand as equals among the stars. Others saw it as a challenge, a reason to prove that humanity's worth extended far beyond its military prowess. On the 10th anniversary of the Zarkan War's end, Admiral Sarah Chen, now retired, stood at a podium before a mixed crowd of humans and aliens. Her voice rang out, clear and determined. The galaxy fears us because they don't understand us. They see our capacity for violence, but not our capacity for love. Our potential for destruction, but not our drive to create. Yes, we are banned from galactic warfare, but that just means we must find new ways to protect and serve. We will explore the unknown, broker peace where there is conflict, and push the boundaries of science and art. We may be exiled from war, but we will make the galaxy our home. As Chen's words echoed across the assembly, a new chapter in human history began. The species that had been too good at war would now strive to be the best at peace, and though challenges lay ahead, humanity faced the future with the same spirit that had carried them through the stars. Adaptable, resilient, and ever hopeful. The real reason humans were banned from galactic warfare wasn't just fear of their military prowess. It was recognition of a potential that could reshape the cosmos, for better or for worse. As humanity stepped into this new role, the galaxy watched, waited, and wondered what these unpredictable beings would do next.